In the same notion, there's a brilliant young man with us, John Armah. He's the CEO of Oris Group. Now, John is empowering young Ghanaian entrepreneurs with training, investment, and strategies to take some of Africa's biggest problems in health, technology, agriculture, and service and art sector as a business strategy. So he works with young people to see the problems we see every day around us in our health sector, the tech sector, agri sector. He works with them to see these issues as opportunities and help them really develop business strategies around them. John is also an investor and a CEO. He was named as part of the 20 under 40 most influential business leaders in Ghana by award-winning Business World magazine. I personally know John. He's been hustling and bustling for a long time. It looks glamorous when we introduce him at events, but he's really on the ground and doing the best that he can to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. So let's give it up for John.
Like the other speaker said, we'll hear a lot of good morning. So good morning to all of you. Oh, good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mr. Yofi Grant. Put your hands together for Mr. Yofi Grant. It's an amazing supporting young entrepreneurs. I see Sherry. Let me acknowledge the minister who's here present with us. Mr. Yofi, you want to do that? Please, feel free. Okay, that's fine. I see Franklin of NEIP here. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm here to do one thing with you. It's not as if I run $1 billion company or I run a company that makes $1 million in turnover. No. But I think that I was chosen here to share a few words with you because in every story of an entrepreneur lies the issue of adversity. And most of us face one or the other. And so it's a question of a commonality of these adversities and how we've gone through them, which is why I'm here. And so my story may resonate with many of you who are here. I'll share two things with you as a prelude to what I'm here to share with you. And it's a life event that happened in my life. What happened was that, one was when I was growing up, well, you'd always hear this. A family member told me that I didn't deserve a university education and had to learn how to fix CCTV cameras in a very derogatory way. And so that was what I was going to do because the person ran a business that needed CCTV cameras. And so that's what I would do for the rest of my life. And I thought, well, let's see what comes out of it. I think I deserve better. The other person helped pay my fees for business administration when I was at Zenith first year, first semester. And when the person paid the fees, it was because my parents could not afford those fees at the time because I had other siblings who had come on board and they couldn't help fund that education. When the person gave me the money to pay the fees, later on it turned out it was a loan to be paid back. And when my parents could not pay that money, my father and mother were called incompetent. And they are probably hearing this about the second time. But because I am home, I feel led to share with you. And so I chose an issue of dignity against peanuts and told them to keep their money. And so I left that business development course. And thankfully for me, I was able to get a scholarship to study law, again at Senate, through Gipc and Adams CPP Book Services, among others. I share this with you because these were moments that led me to question whether or not I was capable of ever being something good or not. And there's been lots of opportunities that have come after that. Today, I run a company that's called Oris Group, and we're focused on three interlinked things. One is providing consulting services to many young entrepreneurs, providing with your business plans, financial plans, assisting you register your business. Importantly, beyond that, it's also providing the training through our business school to enable you combine industry-based experience with the classroom work, business simulations, case studies to build real sustainable businesses. But above all, we also realize that many of you would require funding to grow. And so through our private equity model, we continue to facilitate investments to many of the startups that we work with. The board is chaired by Mr. Kweku Awatwe, and we have a fantastic team. Let me just demonstrate how practical we are as a firm, because we walk the talk. The shirt I'm wearing is by a company called Wear Purple, which we supported in Ghana to do. My shoes you're thinking is from Italy, but was produced right here in Ghana by a company called Chase Shoes, which we support. Yesterday, I met a young man called Isaac Sessi, who told me yesterday that he was now moving into a bigger space because he had grown a technology called the Grain Mate. How would you know Grain Mate? It allows you to test humidity, temperature in grain products in that regard. A summary of what we do. But let me provide a context as to why we are here. As we speak, there are over 200 million people who are unemployed. By 2030, 2060, there are going to be 600 million people who are unemployed. And guess what? Honorable Yofi shared a statistic with you. 1 billion people are currently employed, but live in extreme poverty or very vulnerable jobs. Let's bring it down locally so you understand it. Over 75 million youth are unemployed the world over. There's no need even sharing the statistics around Africa with you, because we're here present and we know the challenges that those come with. But each day in the life of every African lies the idea to want to start something, to want to do something, to want to join someone to do something. So I tell people that entrepreneurship will be a platform for you to start your business. Not everyone is meant to start a business. Sometimes some of us have to help others with their dreams. True or false? True or false? True. My father shared a number of things with me which I want to share with you. Number one is when I was reading, I heard that consumer expenditure is expected to triple from 1 trillion to about 4 trillion by 2025. Do you know what that means? It means that a lot of us are going to start spending. We're going to buy more things. And while the big things matter in the world, the small things matter to us, such as helping you build your businesses through training, investments, whatsoever. My father said 2 things. He said, John, 1, passion is sometimes just a feeling. It doesn't mean you start a business. Because what drives a business is skill. Skill creates value. Value creates what? Product. That's what my father said to me. My father said to me the second time, he said, John, it is experience that can cause you to fail quicker, but history builds better business. And he said that to me. Let me provide a context as to why those things made sense to me. This is where we've come from. When we started under 18, I was on radio, on Vibe FM, became programs manager. We pioneered the Model African Union Summit on the continent. The whole world had people come down. Just 18, we were given the whole of Conference Center by Ministry of Foreign Affairs to organize events. We pioneered the Ghana Youth Agri Fair, from which you had people like Goat Masters of Gideon, Paddy Konote come out of. And Sherry was there, as well. Sherry's been a supporter of us. We pioneered the Africa Youth Economic Forum. One of the first people to create a budget app to track the budget of Ghana in 2012. In the same 2012, while I was at the World Bank, we were able to put together a policy for startups, which was put in the 2012 budget of Ghana. We did other things to create apps even for musicians such as Samini, among others. We've traveled the world over, we've trained over 10,000 people, but all of those things taught us a number of things I want to share with you. It isn't all rosy, but these are the lessons we learned from it. Number one is that as young entrepreneurs, many of us are not focused and don't drive value. And we are busy trying to copy ideas from outside and bring them here, and we think we can create the next Silicon Valley in this country by copying those ideas. They don't work. If you do not understand our customer segments, our regional segmentation, demographics, we end up creating ideas that people don't want. That's the first point. Number 2 I want to share with you is that every business thrives on product. And while we may be good at so many things in this world, there's always that one thing that we are really good at. And it's product that makes people survive. You can have the best of photo shoots as a photo shoot entrepreneur and think that you just take pictures, post it out, and entrepreneur. It doesn't work. If there's no product, you won't grow. Number 3 is team. How did I meet my board chairman? It was just through LinkedIn. I proposed it to him that, would you have to have a conversation with me? And he said, oh yes, let's talk. Then he said, okay, this is what, let's meet. We met. I said, I'll be happy to join you. Sometimes the next person closer to your dream is sitting by you or is a step away from you. Relationship management is key to making things happen. The next thing I want to share with you around team is that sometimes we think that hiring people we should hire for skill. The cliche is that hire for attitude. These days I say hire for loyalty. Because as an entrepreneur, it's not always bliss. Sometimes at the tough, rocky times, when you need staff who are ready to learn, to stay with you, and to fight it out to the next big break. And if you don't get that, it can be very, very troubling. The other point I want to share with you, my concluding remarks, is performance management. Many of us don't invest in business growth metrics, understanding customer lifetime values, acquisition costs, bookkeeping, financial reporting, annual reports, understanding tools and problem diagnosis. We don't do that because we think that, again, it's all a James Bond business. One-man businesses won't change Africa. It's collaboration, it's partnerships that will continue to change the way we think about the next generation of businesses. Are you with me so far? Let me end with 2 stories, and then I can take my seat. The first story is about the god of Mercury, who thought of himself as so highly that he was a communicator for gods at that time. So he visited a sculptor because the sculptor had made an image of him in a shop. The sculptor had Jupiter and had another god there along with Mercury. And when Mercury got there, he saw the sculptor. He asked the sculptor, "How much is that of Jupiter?" And then the sculptor said to him, "Jupiter is worth, let's say, 3,000 Ghana cedi." He said, "How much is the next one?" He says, 2,000 Ghana cedi. Thinking that when he asked of himself, he'll be told he's worth maybe 10,000 cedis. He was confident and asked, "Oh, how much is that one?" The sculptor said, "Tell you what, if you give me the price of the first one and the second one, I'll dash you this one for free." And Mercury was so bruised in his ego. The moral of the lesson here is that as entrepreneurs, please, it's time to be humble. It's time to build partnerships. It's no longer time to be high-handed and think you are all that. Your idea is never all that until you get to market. Your idea is never all that until you can speak in turnover. Our ideas are not all that until we are serving and giving back to societies that made us who we are. The second story was that among a council of mice, they were thinking of ways to outwit a cat that was troubling them. So they're looking for strategies. Then one young mice said, why don't we put a bell around the cat? And I thought it was a brilliant idea too. Except one old mouse there said, "Well, who will put the bell around the cat?" The moral of the lesson here is that sometimes as young people, it's easier to talk about ideas and not do them because we think it's fanciful. But it's easier to propose than to execute. The key around our success lies in first finding real mentors who can guide us, building investment thesis around products that people can invest in, and building value around ourselves. And I believe that, look, all of us here are winners, and through the thick, the torn times, the bad times, we'll remember to stick with God and remember these lessons I've shared with you as tools that can help us build the next generation of businesses. Our brother said something. What did he say in the song? What did he say in the song? We are what? We are the ones to what? Oh, I can hear. We're the ones to what? I thank you for your time. God bless you.
Thank you so much, John. I told you guys you would enjoy him. We're joined by